Director of the Swami Vivekananda Cultural Center at the Consulate General of India in Durban, Dr. Chaitanya Prakash Yogi, Mr. Manesh Ramjatan, Mr. Mandla Macha, Mr. Sipiwe Mchunu, Mr. Piyush Khandelwal, distinguished guests and online viewers, Namaskar and welcome to episode 5 of Antartaan, or Inner Tones, a series of interactions between two artists about their experiences of synchronization of the inner tones or internal rhythms with the expectations of their performances and programs. Today in our midst, we have two very renowned artists, and that is Mr. Manesh Ramjatan and Mr. Mandla Macha. Just a brief introduction about Mr. Manesh Ramjatan. Manesh ji hails from a family of musicians. His musical journey began at the age of 5 with harmonium lessons given to him by his mom. His maternal grandfather thereafter inspired him to learn tabla, so Manesh ji spent 7 years training in North Indian classical music tabla under Sri Abhedanand Bijan from Mauritius. His desire to delve into the intricate art of playing the santoor was ignited at the live performance by Pandit Shiv Kumar Sharma at the World Hindu Conference in 1995. Manesh ji had the good fortune of spending precious moments with Sri Piyush Pawar, santoor player for Anup Jalota ji, and Sri Rahul Sharma, son of Pandit Shiv Kumar Sharma, which gave him invaluable insight to the world of classical music. He also attended classical music lessons by Sri Harinath Jha from India at the Consulate General of India in Durban. Over the years, Manesh ji has performed solo items countrywide and has also accompanied medical, local, and international artists. He enjoys challenging himself with the exploration of different musical instruments and artists from different genres, and this has led him to collaborations with jazz, Spanish, Western, classical, African, and Aubergines artists as well. Some of the highlights in his music career have been performing at the World Hindu Conference in 1995, the World Human Rights Conference hosted by President Nelson Mandela at the 2010 Soccer World Cup and Durban India Day function. He's also performed for the ex-president of India, Dr. Abdul Kalam, and the Indian and South Africa cricket teams for live theatre productions at the Playhouse, for Rangmanch functions in Cape Town and KZN, for local international weddings, various TV, radio productions, and for the Indian consulates in South Africa. Today, we welcome Manesh ji, who will be interacting with Mr. Mandla Macha. And just a little bit about Mr. Mandla Macha. He was born in Grahamstown, Eastern Cape, and grew up in Port Elizabeth. Later moved to Durban, where his interest in music grew. He took percussion residency with Mad Drummers, a Durban-based drumming ensemble led by Mgobeni Gwensa. Building on this experience with music and dance productions internationally, he's traveled, including with the likes of Flatfoot Dance Company, etc. Today, we welcome Mr. Mandla Macha and Manesh Ramjatan ji for their interaction on episode 5 of Antartaan.
Namaste, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for that introduction, Shristiji, and thank you for the opportunity to be here today. Hi, Mandla. It's really good to meet you. Unfortunately, it's virtual, but we have to make do with the situation.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
It's always good to meet new artists and new musicians because we have some kind of connection. I think you'll agree with that. It doesn't matter what type of music we play. We just get together and we'll jam and we'll create some kind of music. And I think I'd like to learn a bit more about you and how you and in your journey through music. So if you're fine with that, then there's some questions that I'd like to ask you, and then you can ask me questions as well, and we'll have some kind of interaction between the two of us. So the theme for today is the inner tone. So can I ask you what's your take on inner tone and internal rhythm? What do you feel about it? How do you interpret it?
Well, I would I would interpret it probably as a collection of sounds and rhythms, consciously or unconsciously, arranged, not arranged. And I think it's the collection of all coming to you, whether you're awake or you're asleep, and then as probably a person who's interested in maybe discovering your tone, and then it is made out of all those things that are coming in, let's say with music, it could be what you're listening to, the sounds, and then added by maybe conscious efforts like training and practicing and all of that. So I would say it's the inner tones and rhythms are probably a whole lot of collection of that inside you, and then you use all of that vocabulary to shape them the way you want to shape them when you kind of like take them out, something like that. Yeah.
No, I agree completely with that. My interpretation of inner tone is very similar, actually. For me, it's how I listen to and interpret the sounds from the universe, and it's similar to what you said now. So the birds, the chirping of the birds, the waves in the ocean, the wind, everything has some kind of musical value to me, and I try to listen to that from within, with my soul, with my heart. I try to assimilate that into as part of me, and then when I play the music, or when I use that to play the music that I play. So it's very similar to what you said. It's taking what from the outside, assimilating it, and projecting it in our music. So
then you
an example,
project,
yes, yeah.
Yeah, so
an
you
example
project it
is
for whatever purpose.
Yes. Just an example. One day, my sons and I were sitting around. It was a very rainy and stormy day, and somehow I was inspired to create a piece of music that I call Raindrops. So just very briefly, it starts off with a tinkling, kind of soft tinkling sounds, and then it progresses to stronger and more louder sounds, following the course of the rain from the start to the storm. So it's just being inspired by the weather, something very simple and mundane as the weather.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, that's great. And also, also the rain maybe being the sound of the vocabulary that's been there.
Yes.
And then it rains, and then it inspires your internal tone, and then you get into action.
Yes, definitely.
I know, that's great, man. Yeah. And yeah, man. And how what I can ask is, how do you use your internal tone and external tone? Is there a specific way, or how do you use it as a person, as Manesh?
Okay, so it's not, for me, it's not a conscious effort to use that internal tone. Obviously, I've practiced, I've learned a little bit that I know I've learned, and I know the limitations, I know the constraints, and then I use what I listen to and develop that in the music that I play. So as I mentioned, it's things that I find inspiration in daily life. It could be something that just triggers an emotion, and I try to express that emotion in the music that I play. Sometimes, if I'm feeling sad, for example, the music that I play is sad, and you can hear it. And if anyone just chooses to stop or slow down and listen to that music, they will, hopefully, they will be able to listen to that feeling coming through.
Yeah. I hear what you say. Yeah. So and then maybe how would you control it in a situation where maybe maybe you're supposed to deliver something that sounds happy, but you're feeling sad?
That's a difficult one, but it's a question of, no, definitely. sometimes when you call out to play for a function, the organizers or the people that in the audience are expecting certain kind of production or performance, and you have to sometimes from internally you have to project that kind of feeling from the inside, and feel that happiness, overcome that bit of sadness, try to feel it, happy emotions, and once you feel that, then you can actually try to present something that's more vibey and more happy, if I can say.
Yeah, try to.
I'm not sure if that answers your question.
Contextualize. Yeah, no, I think I like put the mood into context, kind of. Put your mood into the context of what you are doing. Yeah. Yeah, man, I see that. But yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, just another question from my side. How do you feel and how do you experience the inner tone and inner rhythm from your side?
In different ways, because you know that you have some kind of an intertone, inner tone and a rhythm, and then sometimes it comes out easily. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it does not come out easily, but you know that it's there, and then yeah, I know that it's there, yeah. So the using your intertone depending on what you're doing. Sometimes you're using it in spontaneous things, things which are not kind of arranged, and then you just listen to yourself, or sometimes you want things in a specific way, and you try to find your inner tone to be part of the whole thing. Sometimes it can be an exercise that happens very quickly. Sometimes it can be something that takes you time, depending on what it is that you're doing. Sometimes you hear sounds in your hear your inner tone, and then maybe but to express it will probably take longer, because maybe you need to sharpen your skills, maybe in that instrument that you would like to use to express it, or maybe that voice that you would like to use to express it. And I'd say the inner tone thing is kind of like a whole lot of unending journey. You are constantly in the journey of learning your inner tone, and also finding out about it. As everything comes in, a whole lot of things come into you unconsciously. You don't even know that they are coming in, and then somebody discovered them. They are inside already. So I would say, yeah.
Actually, it's what you said now touches on a question that I was thinking of asking you, and this is about you feeling that you are an instrument. In experiencing this inner tone, do you feel that you are an instrument that projects this? And I think you spoke to that a bit just now.
Definitely, yeah, definitely. I always feel like I'm an instrument with a kind of responsibility of portraying my inner tone, or in my inner tone or inner rhythm, and the way I would like, or maybe the next person would like,
Yes. I agree with you on that. I think we all are instruments. We have to allow ourselves to be open to the vibrations in the universe. And I think you mentioned something just now, that you have to understand your musical instrument. You have to train. You have to practice. You have to work on it and understand the limitations, the capabilities of your instrument. And once you understand that, then you can use that to project what you're feeling. But ultimately, the actual instrument is yourself, because you are taking from the universe, assimilating it, and then projecting it through the instrument that you're choosing to use. So I agree completely on that.
Yeah, I think I'm the instrument. Look, I'm kind of like in between, as you're explaining the things that are coming from the universe, and then inside you, and then expressing yourself, and then you are the instrument, in all of that. And what you want to do, you want to project as the way you hear it or represent your inner tone, the way you would like to hear it, or the next person. Yeah.
Any other questions from your side?
So, yeah, man. I wish I had taken. I know you sent some questions, but I thought maybe we would be asked questions. And I think I would ask you. You play the tabla, ne?
Yes, I do.
Play the tabla. Yeah, I've. It's a the way I understand tabla. It's like having worked with a couple of guys like Vision. You know Vision. I do.
Vishen Kemraj.
Yeah, and all of that. Yeah. It's when I look at it, it's kind of like a very precise and intense training on how to handle the instrument, and maybe with the rhythms be perfect, because I think when I watch it most of the time is with the dance, you know. So now to keep that discipline, you know, and how do you control your inner tones to stay into that discipline? Because I know that inner tones and internal rhythms, they could be kind of like
all over
fire
the place
sometimes, you know, and
yes.
and yeah, and then now you have to kind of like stick to your patterns, stick to the rhythms. How do you reconcile that?
Okay, that's a very interesting question, actually. So the type of music that I play, or I prefer to play, is classical, semi-classical music. And fortunately, in the North Indian type of setup in classical, there is room for improvisation, and that's a big thing for me. I don't like playing cover versions of any songs or anything. I prefer exploring my individuality, my creativity in the music that I play. So to do that, though, as you mentioned before, you have to learn your instrument thoroughly. There's no end to music, to learning. That's without a doubt. But you have to reach a stage where you understand your musical instrument. You know your technique is as good as you can get it to be. You understand the structures in terms of, well, we call it ta, but those are the set number of beats in a cycle. And as long as we stay within that structure or within that cycle, we have space in that structure or in that cycle to be creative.
Okay.
And that creativity is only limited by your ability to be creative. So as long as you start and you end within the time cycle, anything in between is up to you. And that's where I can express that inner tone from my side. So yes, there is structure, but at the same time there is that space to explore,
to express yourself.
Yes, to express.
Yeah. Another question. Another question I'd like to ask. I don't know. Have you ever been in a situation where the inner tones that are speaking to you are not speaking to whoever you are probably delivering your music to? Like, does it happen that your inner tone that is speaking to you at that moment does not sit with the people that you are playing for?
I'm sure it does.
And if that happens, like how do you deal with a situation like that?
Okay, so if you're playing for, well, again, it depends on the situation. But if you're playing for an audience, for a show, for example, where it is limited to or it's not limited to people that like a certain type of music. Just for example, if you're playing for a wedding, there's all types of people from all different walks of life that are coming together for a wedding, and the music in that situation is just a background atmosphere kind of thing. It's not the focus or the focal point of the function. In that situation, it's really difficult to try to find that bridge between myself and my inner tone and the audience. However, if it's a function where it is a show where people with that have an interest in the type of music that we play, if those type of people are attending that function, then obviously they have a common sort of interest in that genre of music. And when they come to listen, there's much more interaction, there's much more enjoyment on both levels. So unfortunately, we are faced in situations where we have to play when we not entirely synced with the audience. But
and if that situation is with the other musicians, not audience.
Okay, I didn't understand that.
Say if it's with the musicians, like say you're playing with the musicians.
Okay.
Because different, your guys from your inner tones are kind of like coming out differently, obviously, because of different music. Yeah. Does it happen that sometimes there's a big conflict on you and your musicians trying to express your intertones, and then they kind of like clash or don't come together? Yeah.
Fortunately, with the musicians that I've played with so far, and I have a group of musicians that I play with often, and even if we don't practice or we don't see each other for a long time, when we sit to play, we have some kind of understanding. We find the common ground between or amongst us, and then we use that. So, just for example, a saxophone player or a violin player can join our music, and he expresses himself in the way that he's feeling at that particular time. But and the violin player will express it in a different way. I will express it in a different way. But we would use the structure of the tabla, for example, the rhythm, to find that common ground. So each person, each lead instrument, if I can call it that, will express in a different way, but within the structure of, or within the base or the structure of the tabla. So that is the common space or common ground where we can come together and produce different types of music. I'm not sure if that answers your question.
Like trying to balance between your inner tone and the inner tones of the others, find like a common ground. It's like different characters, I would say, maybe. Yeah. Oh yeah, man. Yeah. So yeah.
Just something that I was interested in asking you. Do you feel that the inner tone gives you some kind of a sense of assimilation and absorption into the universal energy, which is unlimited and infinite?
Yeah, I would say there is that part of it that give you that kind of like a flare of assimilation.
Okay.
I don't know how that. Yeah, you know how can I put it? Like giving a flare of assimilation, kind of like things kind of like sound naturally to you, that resonates with you, like nature, you know.
Yes.
Yeah, I would put it that way. Yeah.
Okay, from my side on that point, it's okay. We believe that our souls are infinite. Our souls never die, and just as is the case with the universal energy as well. So our souls are ancient. It's infinite, and it has a connection with the universe. We may not understand the connection, but there is a connection. And if we can, how do I say, if we can learn to dial into that frequency of the universe, we can pick up on that, and we can assimilate those sounds and then produce what we call music. But it's all joined or related to the universe.
Yes. Yes, of course. Yeah.
My view on that one.
Yeah. It is. Yeah. No, I believe you. Music. We cannot trace all the influences that we have.
Yes.
Like exactly, kind of like where they come from, because there's a whole lot of things that contribute to what you hear inside you. There's the community, there's the sounds, there's your family, there's also even your previous family, because things transferred through sounds, through genes, through all of that, and I think it all plays a role in developing your inner tone. So the how can I say, the energy of the universe, is constantly there if you recognize
Yes, it is.
that.
100% true. I feel the same way. And I think from on that point, that's our common ground now. That we both feel that energy from the universe is coming through, and we can draw from that and then create our music. So just on that
sometimes
point,
you have a song. Sometimes you don't know that music. Sometimes that music you have come up with, you can't really explain how it came together, how you got to come up with that, and all of that. You wouldn't even trace where it comes from. It's
as if
powerful.
It's powerful. Yes, it is 100%
true. Yeah, because you're also giving. Because once you give because I believe that when you are giving to the universe, it gives to you as well, or what it gives to you, are able to recognize it. Yes, yeah.
100% true. Just on that point, just to elaborate on that point, it's like when you play, you're not really playing. There's something bigger than us that's actually guiding and playing, and it's not a conscious effort. I think you mentioned that earlier on as well. It's like we are an instrument or a vehicle, and it's like there's a force, or it's difficult to explain, but there's a force or there's a power that actually guides your hand to play what you're playing, or if you're singing, to sing the notes that you're singing. I don't choose the notes when I'm playing my instrument, the santur. I don't choose the notes that I'm going to play. It's impossible to choose the notes that I'm playing. I have some kind of plan or an idea when I'm playing, but it happens. It's like the notes are calling out to play, to play the note. It's hard to express, but and that can only be, as you say, the direction from a higher power, a higher force.
On that note, Manish, do you always understand your inner tone? Like, do you always understand or it every time?
No. I think it's difficult to understand it every time, and just in terms of my understanding of, or my feelings around that, sometimes there's other emotions from the outside, whether it's family, whether it's work-related stress, whether it's whatever it is, other influences from the outside that comes through, and that influences your ability to recognize that inner tone. And sometimes it's very, very difficult to do that. In my daily work as well, there's very stressful situations where I'm faced with very stressful situations. And when I come home, I just stop, take my instrument, and I start playing. It doesn't come immediately, but after maybe 15, 20 minutes, sometimes an hour of playing, then it starts to, I start to have that feeling, and then I feel the tranquility, I feel that peace, and I feel that connection with the universe and the inner tone, basically.
Yeah. Because I think there's also sometimes like some conflicts between yourself and your inner tone, and maybe the other wants to dominate. Maybe your inner tone wants to dominate, but you probably want to dominate because you have an idea. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's an interesting process. When we make music, sometimes we make music, and then within an hour we've got a body of music. Sometimes you're making music, and then maybe 3 months down the line you haven't actually achieved that full body of music that you want in that particular thing. It's so I think it's a constant journey of trying to understand our inner tones, and also as we live, we are also continuing to interact with the universe, and it's providing us new things every time, and we have to keep up with that as a core. We musicians,
very true,
to listen
very
to
true.
the tones and.
So just, I think from a last point from my side, what is your goal or your aspiration in to achieve in your journey of music?
Well, for me, it's to share the journey of music.
Mm-hmm.
The most important thing for me is to share my aspirations, share my joys, share my weaknesses,
Mm-hmm.
share my sorrows and my happiness, and it's kind of like a way of fully expressing myself.
Very true.
Exactly. I would put it like that. It's kind of like a major part of me because we people we try to express ourselves in different ways in the path that we take. Other people, they write, they put together words, package them in the book, to express. Sometimes you express
Mm-hmm.
yourself, not only about yourself. Express yourself how you see things, express
Yes.
other situations, the awarenesses, and all of that. So for me, music is about sharing, and my goal in music is to share as much as possible.
Can I ask you one more thing, just on that point? Don't you feel? Okay, I feel that the more I learn, the more I explore, the more I try to practice and develop my skills, the more I realize how little I know about music and how vast it is, and how much more. It's impossible to say that you're an expert or you're a master at anything. What little that you do know, you can share. And
yeah, I know. I think music, music is. I think music is about life.
mm,
It's a life. In life, you always learn. There's always new things coming in, and even when you are, a senior citizen, you still learning things. Because what happens is that as your life progresses, other lives are coming in to contribute. You see, so you are in a constant learning situation, because there's a whole lot of other things that other lives bring. That is, if you look at life in the bigger picture, not only you, because I agree with you. There's a time when you find like the more you practice, it's like you know less. The more so it's kind of like you discover. Because you're in the journey of discovering, so you keep discovering even more things. Because good things and the energy that you get from the universe, it never stops. You can never finish it.
No, it never stops. That's
exactly.
True. Never finishes.
So I think maybe when you feel like you practice a lot and you still have a lot more to learn and know nothing, I think maybe is putting yourself into the whole, into the whole, the complete, not only your life, kind of like your body, knowing that there's always new things to learn, because life brings new things every day.
100% true. And you learn from everybody and everyone every day.
Yes, exactly. You learn from everybody, from everyone. Yeah. No, that's a fact. Yeah. Yeah, man. And so, what is your goal in music, Manesh?
For me, I'm a student of music. I believe that I'll always be a student of music. There's so much more to learn. There's so much more to explore. I want to develop my skills. I want to learn as much as possible in the little time we have on Earth. I want to be able to share it with others. I want to share the feelings of well, as you said, the joy, the happiness, the sorrow. I want to share that feelings with other people. I want to connect to people on levels that defy or where you don't need language. It's the musical notes and the language that comes through the music. I'd like to be able to share that with people as well. I want to explore different musical genres. I want to collaborate with people like yourself and create new sounds, world music that brings unity and peace and to everybody, basically. I think music transcends all barriers of language, religion, culture. You can put a band of musicians from anywhere in the world, and we can find that common ground. We can find that peace and that tranquility. We find a connection on a different level, and we can express it. So I'd like to explore that as much as possible in my life.
No, I can say I agree with you there. Yeah, no, that's good to hear that. Maybe one day we'll hook up and see what we can do, eh?
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I know that.
I was hoping that we could do that today.
So thank you so much, Mandlaji and Manishji, for that very beautiful interaction on sharing your journey and expressing your inner tone and what it means to us, and obviously sharing your goal for the future. We've come to the part of the program where we'll have a Jugalbandi or duet performance by Mandla Machaji and Manesh Ramjatanji, and they will be playing something very interesting for us. And I'd like to request Mr. Mandla Macha to please play a beautiful piece of music for us.
All right, we try.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mandla Macha, for that very unique piece of music. We indeed definitely enjoyed it. Over to you, Manish ji, and your beautiful piece of music.
Give me a second.
Thank you so much, Maneshji, for that very transcendental piece of music. Indeed, a santur is one of the most elegant and beautiful instruments to be played. We've come to the conclusion of episode 5 of Antartaan. I would like to introduce Mr. Sipiwe Mchunu from the Swami Vivekananda Cultural Center at the Consulate General of India in Durban to render this evening's vote of thanks.
Namaskar, greetings to all of you. On behalf of Swami Vivekananda Cultural Center at the Consulate General of India in Durban, I am so delighted today to deliver a vote of thanks on today's 5th episode of the program Antartaan, meaning the inner tone. This is a series of interaction between two artists about their experiences of synchronization of their inner tone. I'd like to thank two of our online guest artists, Mr. Manesh Ramjatan, a santur player, and Mr. Mandla Macha, a djembe drummist, for the sterling interaction and the duet performance that they performed this evening. The interaction were very good, they were very informative, and also the performances were very wonderful. To both of them, Manesh ji and Mandla ji, thank you very much. We really enjoy your performances and your interactions. Now allow me to thank Dr. Chaitanya Prakash Yogi, Director of Swami Vivekananda Cultural Center at the Consulate General of India in Durban, Sri Harinarayan, Sri Piyush Khandelwal, for taking part on today's program. To all SVCC team, Dhanyavad, thank you very much to all of you. To our online guests who took part on today's program, we'd like to say thank you very much for being with us this evening. Please visit our Facebook page so that you will be updated about all cultural activities organized by Swami Vivekananda Cultural Center in Durban. Once again, to all of you, you are such a wonderful people. Have a wonderful evening. Namaskar.